The ratings are in for Saturday's Forbidden Door Go-Home edition of AEW Collision on TNT. We've also got the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw, heading into Money in the Bank this weekend. The reason for Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay this past weekend at Forbidden Door, as well as the match outcome, has possibly been revealed. We also have the ratings for SmackDown last Friday on Fox from Madison Square Garden. Shawn Michaels addresses the WWE status of Brooks Jensen last night on NXT. Dave Meltzer opens up on Ava's role moving forward in the company. WWE files to trademark an old WCW pay-per-view with some questioning if they're going to be bringing it back. Plus, also an update on the likelihood of Stephanie Vaquer being hired by AEW after an impressive performance at Forbidden Door. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about the ratings for AEW Collision on TNT. Of course, as I mentioned in the intro there, the Forbidden Door Go Home show. And Saturday night's AEW Collision episode averaged 422,000 viewers on TNT, which is down 1.6% from the prior week. Now, it's the lowest total audience number for the show since June 8th. Collision drew a 0.12 rating in the 18-49 demographic. That's down 14.3% from the previous week and is the lowest rating Collision has done in that category since June 1st. Now, the show went head-to-head with the UFC 303 prelims as well as the MLB on Fox and the Olympic trials on NBC. As compared to the same week back in 2023, Collision was down 6.6% in overall viewers and down 7.7% in the 18-49. That episode 1 year ago aired the same day as the WWE PLE, but did not go up directly against it. What are your thoughts when it comes to the ratings for AEW Collision this past week? Let me know your thoughts about that. When it comes to the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. And as you can see right there, the initial first two quarters were below the last 90-day trend when it comes to total viewership and the key 18-49 demographic. Now, we did see a rise for the finish of Stephanie Vaquer's match against Ladies Frost and also the post-match involving Mercedes Moné and plenty of other backstage angles. And actually, what we did see is the segment involving the Learning Tree, Joe Hook, Shibata, Jeff Cobb. That live angle did actually go above what we've seen in terms of the trend for the last 90 days, not only in terms of total viewership, but also in terms of the 18-49 demographic as well. For the remainder of the show, we did actually see it largely above what we have seen for the last 90-day trend, particularly when it comes to the end of the show involving the El Fantasma, Perry and Takeshita match against Dante Martin, Leo Rush and Mark Briscoe, and also the Will Ospreay Swerve Strickland ramp angle. So it did end on a high point, but as I mentioned, not great numbers heading into Forbidden Door the following day. So what are your thoughts on that? Let me know, as always, in the comment section below. Now, let's talk about the ratings for Monday night's edition of Raw on USA Network as well. As I mentioned, the go-home show for Money in the Bank this weekend. And Raw this past Monday did its best numbers since the show the day after WrestleMania 40 with 1.88 million viewers and a 0.62 in the 18-49. It appears to be a combination of angles clicking right now with the Liv Morgan / Dominic Mysterio, Wyatt 6 angle and Morgan disrupting the Judgment Day, and also the involvement of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Raw certainly on a bit of a spike at the moment. Now, the show was up 4% in viewers and 2% in terms of the 18-49 from last week. Now, from 1 year ago, viewers are up 3%, but the 18-49 is up a whopping 29% from this time last year, which basically shows that the over 50 audience has gone way down from a year ago, but the under 50 audience, which is the most important when it comes to selling tickets and merchandise as well as advertising revenue, is way up. So certainly very positive numbers for WWE this week with the highest viewership and key 18-49 demographic rating since the night after WrestleMania, which of course is traditionally WWE's biggest episode and biggest audience when it comes to Monday Night Raw of the year. Of course, the show featured the Wyatt Six continuation of haunting Chad Gable, also featured Drew McIntyre qualifying for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match this coming weekend, and he also vowed to leave Toronto not only with the briefcase but also with the World Championship, suggesting he plans on cashing in his briefcase if he wins it on the very same night. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments section below. Now, we spoke earlier on about Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, and a bit more of an update as to why this match happened at Forbidden Door and not AEW All In, and why Swerve Strickland retained when many expected Will Ospreay to win the championship. Now, Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland put on a classic at the AEW and New Japan Forbidden Door crossover pay-per-view in a booking that surprised many that saw it unfold. Now, Swerve ended up defeating Ospreay, but Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has been told how things happened behind the scenes somewhat emulated how they played out on screen. Now, those that Fightful have spoken to said that Will Ospreay, who has long been a friend of Swerve's in real life and a foe in the ring, grew tired of seeing that Swerve's title reign was a, quote, placeholder for Ospreay to win the title at All In. Sources within the company and close to Ospreay tell Sean Ross Sapp that Ospreay approached AEW higher-ups and extended his desire to put over Swerve to help eliminate the talking points. Considering that Ospreay already has big creative plans in store throughout the year, he had no issue with the situation and wanted to set an example that for AEW to succeed, it had to be a team effort. Based on what Fightful Select heard, Ospreay made the approach after winning the International Championship and wanted to show that nobody should be above losing to the world champion. Some in the company claimed that a, quote, point was being proven as a result. Now, there were many that had previously expected Ospreay and Swerve at All In, but Fightful have been told that wasn't ever the plan, and both have different opponents planned for the upcoming pay-per-view at Wembley Stadium. Now, AEW sources have also said that Ospreay has been great to deal with in the company and has often helped out when needed, including when others ask for help putting matches together. So seemingly, it was Ospreay's idea to put Swerve over and wanted to make sure the champion was seen as much more than just a placeholder. Is this good for AEW? Do you think it was the right move by AEW? Does it shine a good light on Swerve and Ospreay? Let me know your thoughts about that too in the comment section below. Now, we have the ratings for SmackDown on Fox last Friday. Of course, the show had the hot show closing angle involving the new bloodline attacking Paul Heyman. Of course, it was also at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of professional wrestling, as well as the spiritual home for WWE. And last Friday, SmackDown was held from Madison Square Garden and featured several Money in the Bank qualifying matches, as well as the Bloodline's destruction of their wise man Paul Heyman to conclude the show. However, despite being an eventful episode, the Blue Brand still drew a slightly lower rating and audience than the previous week. According to WrestleNomics and Programming Insider, SmackDown averaged 2.256 million viewers and a 0.66 in the key 18 to 49 demographic. When comparing these results to the week prior, total viewership declined by 3% from the 2.336, while the 18 to 49 demographic decreased by 10% from a 0.73 rating. Now, last week was also SmackDown's best rating in both categories since April 12. That was the first episode after WrestleMania 40. However, last Friday also featured CM Punk on the show, advertised in advance. It was from Chicago, and it may have placed a role and certainly helped boost that viewership for that show. Now, despite both categories trailing the previous week, this episode still had a 2% increase in total viewership and a 5% increase in the 18-49 demographic compared to the previous 4 weeks. However, SmackDown's total viewership compared to June 2023 is actually down 10%, averaging 2.427 million viewers 12 months ago. SmackDown managed to rank number 3 in the 18 to 49 demo on Friday, falling behind the Olympic trials on NBC, while still being able to outrank the Copa America group match between Brazil and Paraguay on FS1, as well as the NHL draft on ESPN that was held at the Sphere in Las Vegas. This upcoming Friday SmackDown will be held from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and could see an increase in viewership as the go-home show for the Money in the Bank PLE. Now, let's talk about NXT last night, with Shawn Michaels addressing the ongoing storyline involving Brooks Jensen. Shawn Michaels appeared last night on NXT and addressed the recent situation surrounding Brooks Jensen. Jensen has been working a storyline which has included him saying he's departed WWE after he was kicked out of the Performance Center by NXT management after voicing frustrations about how he was being used. Now, this has all been a storyline, and it's now made its way to television with Shawn Michaels involved. Michaels said, quote, "Over the past several months, there have been many disturbances in NXT caused by one young man. Brooks Jensen. If you follow Brooks on social media, he's made some disparaging remarks about the NXT brand. I've seen reports claiming Brooks was released from his contract, but that is not the case. After a split from Josh Briggs, Brooks began to spiral, and he was asked by NXT management to take a sabbatical to clear his head and get himself together. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We were forced to take action to keep him away from live events and TV. The easiest thing to do after his behavior would be to let him go. But Brooks is a part of the NXT family, and I believe in second chances. Next Tuesday, I'd like to invite Brooks to have a sit-down discussion with our NXT General Manager Ava to talk about his future and to see if we can steer him in the right direction. Thank you. So, seemingly again, it looks like this storyline is going to develop next week on NXT TV. Now, speaking of Ava, Dave Meltzer has opened up about her future in WWE. Of course, Simone Johnson, daughter of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, made her WWE debut as Ava Raine back in 2022, serving as a member of Joe Gacy's Schism faction. Raine wrestled just a handful of matches in WWE before being named the general manager of the brand. Responding to a listener question on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer shared his belief that Raine is no longer training as a wrestler. Quote, "I think this is her role," Meltzer said, referring to Raine's status is as the NXT general manager. She's being groomed for a authority figure on the main roster at some point, or she's going to do this for a while. I don't know. Now, Ava was named the NXT General Manager at the beginning of this year, with William Regal himself passing the torch to the 22-year-old. In the months since, she's made appearances presenting the NXT Women's North American Championship along with other managerial duties for the brand, such as announcing replacements for matches. Last week's NXT saw Ava moderating a confrontation between Ethan Page, Shawn Spears, Javon Evans, and NXT champion Trick Williams. Now, let's talk about possibility of an old WCW pay-per-view returning. WWE could be bringing back the name of an old annual WCW pay-per-view if a new trademark filing is anything to go by. On July 2nd, WWE filed to trademark an application for Super Brawl. Now, Super Brawl was an old WCW pay-per-view held every year from 1991 through 2001. The trademark application was filed with the following description, as it's always been about exhibition of professional wrestling events rendered through broadcast media, etc., etc. Now, this, of course, isn't a 100% confirmation yet. The name is being brought back for a new show, as it could just be for archive reasons, etc. But the description is worth noting, as it is specifically for a show, not just for merchandise purposes. So, again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. Would you like to see Super Brawl return? Let me know your thoughts about that one too. And finally, a bit of an update on Stephanie Vaquer. Now, one of the most talked about matches coming out of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view this past weekend was Mercedes Moné wrestling Stephanie Vaquer, with the title versus title match impressing in the ring and leading to a memorable angle with the return of Britt Baker. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer shared some praise for Vaquer's performance on the show, saying, quote, "I thought Stephanie looked better than Mercedes. As far as just wrestling," Meltzer said, "Mercedes looked good, but I thought Stephanie looked better of the two. This Stephanie Vaquer is a lot more confident and a lot better of a wrestler than she was a year ago. Though she's currently with CMLL, Vaquer may be seen elsewhere in the near future, as Meltzer believes the wrestler will receive offers from multiple companies in the wake of her performance at Forbidden Door. He stated that there's currently strong demand for women who are really freaking good in the ring, and Vaquer shows she can perform at the highest level. He said, quote, "Whether it's AEW or WWE, I think that's happening," Meltzer continued. "For WWE, the negative is I don't think her English is good enough. I know she can speak English, but I don't know if it's good enough, and they grade you on that." Vaquer got her start in her home country of Chile, along with traveling up to Mexico to wrestle there. Over the last 5 years, Vaquer has made a name for herself with appearances in CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, Ice Ribbon, and more. If Meltzer's assessment is correct, Sunday's match against Moné could result in the next step for the former New Japan Strong Women's Champion. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.